Alright, so today we're actually going to be working on my brother-in-law's Grand Design Reflection 150 Series 280 RS. I did the same thing to my 303 to try and get over having to slam this door so hard. So at this point what I've done is remove the door latch and the striker plate, and we're going to go into the shop and I'm going to show you what I did to get past the fact that you got to keep slamming this door. So the first thing is I wanted to make sure that the door closes without any kind of resistance. Obviously the hinges are going to hold it back a little bit, but you can see that that door closes completely. So there's nothing wrong with the door. No adjustments need to be made to the door. It's just that latch. So we're going to go, I'll show you what I did to modify the latch on mine, and we'll do it on this one. So here's the latch assembly sitting on the bench. And what I found is that the spring tension that's required to push this latch in. So when you're slamming the door or closing the door, what's happening is the striker plate's hitting here and it's having to overcome that spring pressure. And that spring pressure is just way too much. So I'm going to pull this apart, we'll lube it up and adjust that spring pressure. Alright, so I have my brother-in-law John here. We're going to disassemble this latch. Once it's out, sitting on the bench, you just take out the 4 screws. And that part. Alright, so
right there is the spring.
You can actually see the spring that we're having to overcome the pressure of. Alright, so we're going to pop that spring out of there.
And not lose it?
Just, yeah, use a flat blade screwdriver. Go in the other direction.
Yeah, there we go. That works better. Go the opposite direction. Okay, so now the screw is removed.
Alright, so put it on here, a little bit easier to see. So there's the spring. So what we're going to do is just cut 2 lengths right about where my thumbnail is off of that spring, which will relieve some of that pressure. It's all yours, John. Alright, so take it, cut that coil right about there where my thumb is.
So right here, is that the right one?
Yeah, we can start there and we'll...
So that's how much we cut off.
Alright, so we might need to go a little bit more, but we'll start there. Alright, so before we go back together with this, we're going to put some of this dry lube down in there, spray it on the back side of the actual latch. We just want this thing to move as freely as possible through the whole thing.
Okay.
And then we'll just make sure that it slides freely. And then we'll also spray some lube on the back side of this plate. You do a little bit more. There you go. Now we'll let that dry while we're putting this back together. All right, so we're going to put the cut end of the spring
against the...
All right, so now when we do this, it requires a lot less pressure to get this back. Now, partly because we put the lube in there, but mostly because we shortened that spring. So I think we're going to call that good. All right, so let's make sure. So this is our deadbolt assembly.
Right.
So we're going to spray a little bit of lube on that too. Just make sure everything is nice and free in there. Spray a little bit on top of there. All right. And then we'll put this plate back on. Flip it over. Yep, just like that. So the second problem we found with this is the screen door latch was actually hitting the door as it closed. So we pulled this off, and you can see right there, there's a little bit of a shiny area. So the door was actually hitting as it closed. It was hitting the, whoops, I'm on the wrong side.
Yeah.
The front side of this plate. So what we're going to do is we're just going to file these two tabs down just a little bit, just to make sure that the door doesn't hit that. All right, so John's just going to file a little bit off of this. He's going to do it at an angle so it makes a ramp. So when that door closes, it doesn't hit hard. It might still press against it, but if we make a little bit of a ramp out of it, it'll slide in there a lot easier. All right, let's take a look and see what we have. All right, so you can see we're just taking a little bit off, and we might have to come back and do a little bit more later, but this is just one of those, we'll keep going until it fits right. All right, so with the screen door latch back on there after we did some filing, before we put the actual door latch on there, we just want to close this. So
Still kind of.
that right there is where we're hitting that screen door latch. It closes all right, but I think we'll end up filing that down just a little bit more.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, let's leave that on there, and we'll put the latch back in the door. All right, so John's going to put the latch back in the door. So it just slides in. Kind of work it around until it pops in the hole.
Okay, we're in. There we go.
And then we'll put the plate on the back side. And all we're going to do is run the screws in, but we're going to leave them a little bit loose for right now. And so the key to this is getting two things to line up.
Yeah.
So your deadbolt. All right, and then we also got to make sure that this is on the right side, so that as we pull the handle, you can see the latch goes in. All right, so we'll just get the 4 screws just barely to the point where they touch. All right, so with all 4 of those screws in but loose, we're going to put the plate on. And what that'll do is it'll draw the latch towards the outside of the door. We'll make sure that the deadbolt and the regular latch operate freely and aren't binding on that plate.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and snug those up. And then check your deadbolt and your latch. Make sure everything operates smoothly.
Much smoother with that.
All right. Then tighten up those 4.
Okay.
All right. Then just one more check to make sure that both latches work smooth. All right. Go ahead and leave the deadbolt unlocked.
Yep.
And let's just close it. We don't have the striker plate on yet. So hold the handle out and just make sure so nothing binds as it goes in. All right. So let's go ahead and put that striker plate on there. So on the striker plate, on my 303 RLS and on this one, for some reason this plate was put on backwards. So you can see this little tab right here needs to go towards the outside so that when this thing is closed, it's going to pull against that tab and not be able to release. I think these probably got turned around at the dealership. We both bought this at the same dealership, and when there's problems with the doors closing hard, the simplest fix is turn that around. The problem is, with that turn backward, your deadbolt doesn't line up. Alright, so go ahead and just hold it straight and we'll snug them up and then we'll test fit it.
Yeah.
Alright,
I think that's good.
let me get up in here real quick. Okay, so again, the striker plate is oriented so the piece that's bent over is towards the outside. Alright, so we got the striker plate back on. Now we'll see. That's it. The door closes that simple. All right, now for the one finger close test.
One finger closed.
Yep. Look at that.
Jeez.
Much improved.
Closes like a
All
shed.
right. There you go. That's it for this Grand Design Reflection 150 Series 280 RS.